All right, what's going on, everybody? Give you Card Stacks here, and today was a pretty big day. We had Bowman University Chrome 2025 pre-ordered today on Topps.com. They had all their different formats. They dropped some new images, so I wanted to talk about the different formats, what we know so far, see some of these image previews as well, and we'll see what happens from there. So let's jump into it. All right, so let's talk pre-order and boxes and prices here. I found something interesting on the website that I wish I knew or thought of or just even took a second to look into before I made my purchase, but nonetheless, hobby boxes, 2 autos. I think it's 2 color. I'll have to go back and look. You get, a couple X-fractors, a couple refractors. Those are up to 140. They've historically been 130 at release. This year, 140. Whatever. I was expecting, it wouldn't shock me if Topps went up to like 160, 170, 180, even at 199. I mean, when you think of it from the grand scheme of things, like, my brain just cannot compute people paying, $300, $400 for like NFL Phoenix or like any of those products, or what's the black Obsidian, or I don't know, whatever those cards are. I'm just like, it's all to get like a Rashawn Gary auto, right? Like, it just blows my mind, or just, a random rookie that no one cares about, right? Here, at least, the price point and the value that you're getting out of the box, insane. So that's why I'm always hesitant when it comes to price, because I'm like, they could very much justify those increase in prices. I would not buy as much product, and this year I did decrease my product that I'm purchasing, but nonetheless, $140 for the hobby box, which I think it's totally fine. I ended up buying 2 of those. Now, hear me out. If I were to do things differently, would I? I don't know. I would have given it more consideration. And I'm only telling myself this maybe to make myself feel better. But when you look at Jumbo this year, Jumbo has 4 autos. Previously, it's always been 3. And the box is $100 more. So $240, you're getting 4 autographs. Well, if you buy 2 hobby boxes, you're paying $280 for your 4 autographs. So that's $40 more than if you were buying 1 jumbo box. So, it's like, do you want the autos, right? With 2 hobby boxes, you are getting a lot more base. You're getting more inserts. I think you get the same amount of, I think it evens out to the same amount of color or shimmers or whatever the case may be. So would you rather put it into 1 box and just say, hey, the card gods are all in this box, all in? Let's see what happens. $250 for this box. Or would you rather separate it into 2? Now, someone on Twitter, I think it was Joe, he was like, there's this big, discussion amongst like Bowman baseball groups where it's like, jumbo, they just say, is filled with more base autos. Maybe your ceiling is higher on a jumbo and you get a better chance at golds and oranges and stuff like that. But, who's to say that? So here's my recommendation, and you don't have to take this advice, but if you are going to rip 2 hobby boxes or more, really, get a jumbo box. You're just going to save money. Put that $40 to singles or whatever else you want. I just think that if you just want the autos, cool. I think, and that's obviously what we're chasing. I don't think that's a bad play. Now, me personally, what I'm telling myself, I am saying I'm cool with the 2 hobby boxes because when I rip these open on YouTube, I do want to try to hit as many players. I will take on that base, and I will, want to try to rip through as many and be like, okay, yep, I'm familiar with, obviously Diego Pavia or like Jordan Tyson or some of these other guys, right? And give a little bit more background context. Now, my deep dive, everything that you want to know really about these players, who are the top chases, who are the sleepy guys that, could really break out, who's the good draft guy. I'm doing all that on my Patreon. If you want to join, you'll be the most informed. I promise you that. Link is down below if you want to join that. It's $5 a month, $1 a week, $1.25. I put out 2 to 3 videos. I'll say 2 videos. I put out about 2 videos every single week. We recap every single college football week, and then we preview every single college football week, and then we're doing checklist breakdowns like this. So that's just a little change that I'm making to my channel, but I've moved kind of more to Patreon with more of the prospecting side, less YouTube, and I think you've kind of noticed that already. Anyways, didn't mean to turn that into an ad, but kind of. So that's kind of my angle when it comes to the 2 boxes. I do like having the base on release day because you are able to piece things out, new release hype. If you are able to grind out some new base cards and sell them in team lots, you could sell all of your Texas base cards for $10, $11 on release day, and that just wouldn't happen a month from, after release. Another thing that I really wanted to talk about was mega boxes. So last year, mega boxes were $60 and you guaranteed an auto, and I think you got 4 Teal Lava exclusives. This year, mega boxes down to $50. That's a win for the hobby, right? Well, not really, because there are no autographs according to the box, at least last year on the box. Some people on Twitter did say, I never received any autos in my mega boxes. That sucks, because I'm pretty sure they were guaranteed and it was on the side of the box. This year, no mention of autographs. So I think you're really just paying for 4 Teal Lavas. And if you look at Teal Lavas, and even on release day, let's say you hit a John Mateer, which I don't even think, like, with his injury, and he'll be back, hopefully, for the card market's sake, he'll be back hopefully in time for the release and have a couple games under his belt. But a John Mateer Teal Lava on release day is maybe $12, maybe $15 at most. Like, if you look at, and I know their prices are down, but if you look at a Nussmeier or a Lagway Teal Lava, like, those are $4 cards, peak market, maybe $8, and I'm talking peak off season, not just, right at release. So mega boxes, I don't think I would recommend that. And if you're going to go kind of the value route and you just don't want to spend that much, you just don't have that in your budget, I honestly would recommend the value boxes, is what they call blasters. At $25, you're getting your 4 pink parallels. Pink parallels are going to be a little bit less desirable in terms of resale and all of that, but I will say the Teal Lava is a little bit more of a scarce card, or at least those hold a little bit more value than a pink, I guess, but not by much, I would say. At least with the value box, you get the pink lavas, you get a shot at a numbered card. So I just, for $50 to tell someone, hey, here's your 4 Teal Lava exclusives, without, maybe they have decent shot at an auto, I don't know, maybe it's like 1 in every 4, which still doesn't seem like a great deal to me at that point. If you're spending $50, again, different budgets and such, but probably just try to get a hobby box at that point and splurge, and maybe sell a card or two to make up that difference. So that's really what I wanted to talk about in terms of the format. So I'm just going to pull this up. So we did get some new releases in terms of card design. They dropped it on their Instagram. Topps has a insider group on Instagram. I don't know. Someone just told me. I think it was Marchan. I went in, I grabbed the photos, and I left that group chat. But they had a red Garrett Nussmeier. I love the image. I think it's a really clean image. So I'm a big fan of that one. And the thing here, it looks like these autos are going to be on cards. So, hey, if the boxes are going to go from 130 to 140 and they're on card autos, I will certainly take that. So, and I was at first concerned that, maybe it's just like to 5 or less is on card. But no, they had a Fernando Mendoza blue, true blue, which is also new. That we've never had a true blue, which I really wish we had that before, just because Arizona Wildcats, it's a cool color match. There's a lot of schools with blue that would have been sweet. It does make those sapphire autos pop a little bit more, but certainly will not complain about the addition of a true blue parallel from an auto perspective. They also have my first Bowman on the auto on the bottom in his inscription, which is nice, on the 1 of 150. Or first to print of this, so that'll be cool to have. Fernando Mendoza, we'll see what happens. Honestly, I don't love this design though in a blue. Maybe it's like the red trim on the outside as well. I don't know. I'd have to see more parallels for the blue and just in general. But honestly, I'm not a huge fan of this design the way it is. I like the Garrett Nussmeier red, to be honest, and maybe now I'm seeing the purple. But yeah, I don't know how I feel about the red. Maybe it's just because it's blue. I don't know. They also have a Lenora Sellers red shimmer. That one's pretty cool. I do like the color match. They've got his Instagram. He wrote his Instagram. That's definitely like the least desirable, I think, for anybody, just in terms of collecting, is getting their, IG user handle as opposed to like a school inscription and such. Like, yes, I would rather have Cox Up on my inscription for Lenora Sellers, for sure. So there's that. Diego Pavia, his image looks super sick. I like this black jersey and this red as well with the anchor down. So I'm a big fan of that. Diego Pavia is one of my favorite player in college football. So definitely like that one. So they released those images. They also released the Bryce Underwood Super. Now I love the Super this year. It just looks like a deeper gold. It's not like just the light gold vinyl. I really like the design of that. So maybe the design is growing on me here. So really cool image there. And then I also, I'm just scrolling on my feed right now, but because I tweeted a lot, but they also have Jordan Tyson and Bowman U now, which means he'll be in Bowman. I already knew he was going to be in the set. I had word from a couple of people that knew that Jordan Tyson was going to be signed. So it is cool that it's kind of released to the public. But that was a guy, one of the almost 50 guys in the checklist that I do know. We do not have a checklist. I don't know. Now, one thing that is positive, I'm getting asked, is there a checklist every 30 minutes, I'd say, online, Discord, Twitter, Instagram, anywhere. We don't have the checklist. You will know when we have the checklist. I will be insufferable. Everyone on the internet will be insufferable because that's all I'm going to be talking about. But this is how I know that the college football card market is in a great place. We are at a point now where like collectors, fans, and prospectors are just dying for a checklist. They want to know, and I don't even think it's just like to make an informed decision as to whether you want to buy a box. Like if you're a fan of Bowman U, I think you're just buying the box because you're a fan. Like I don't think, maybe people are just, wanting to buy a box and they only buy their team. I don't know, just buy a break, I guess, at that point. But I would say like if you're a fan of Bowman U, you're buying it with or without a checklist. Yes, would it be nice, whatever, but like I'm not. A lot of people are upset about it. Honestly, I'm not. I don't care. I couldn't care less. I'm buying the product no matter what. I'm going to break it down. I'm going to find value. I'm going to make money off of this prospecting for sure. So that's where we're at there. But then they also had 2 images that I saw on their website, and I was like, wait a minute, these are new cards. They had a new physical education. This one looks kind of sick. It almost looks like a Mutt or a Madden Ultimate Team type background with Dylan Edwards, and they've got like, different traits and A+. I like that way better than like the report card last year. That was pretty garbage. So I do like this physical education with Dylan Stewart. And then we've also got this Marcel Reed Campus Star Signatures. We've never seen this before. This also looks like it's on card. Of course, I feel like when Topps releases previews, sometimes it's a borderline, like that could be a sticker, that could be not, and like they kind of like fuzz it up and Photoshop it. This one is kind of teetering that line, but I would like to think that this is on card. This looks sweet though. I kind of like it's kind of got like the spotlight feel to it, and I really like that. I think this will be a sweet insert. So that I think is everything that we've kind of learned in terms of Bowman University today. So I think that's everything. I just wanted to hop on, talk about the formats, the price points, a potential checklist, and just everything Bowman in general, all those previews as well. So that's it. If you want more information, join the Patreon. You're going to learn a lot. You're going to know everything about the checklist. You're going to know every single player. I'm going to give you a list of everything that you need to know. But nonetheless, if you enjoyed, drop a like, leave a comment, subscribe. We'll see you next one. Peace, love you, bye.